Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. Okay, so today we will going to look on the election system in Malaysia. Okay, so election is in Malaysia is held every 5 years. Okay, the purpose of election is to elect or to select the representative in the state legislative assembly to lead the state government and representative of the House of Representatives to form the federal government. Okay, it is assigned to the Election Commission, which is SPR, as stated in Article 113 until 120 of the Federal Constitution. There are two types of election in Malaysia, which is we have general election and by-election. Okay, general election and by-election. So general election ni yang 5 tahun sekali. Okay, 5 years tu adalah normal practice ataupun the maximum duration untuk the duration between one PRU to another PRU lah. Okay, so within 5 years, okay, dalam tempoh 5 tahun tu kita boleh buat another general election, but dengan syarat mestilah ada royal assent as well as the approval from the Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya. Okay. While by election ni pula dia macam pilihan raya kecil. Okay. Pilihan raya kecil due to some reason lah. Contohnya ada kematian MP ataupun ADO dan sebagainya lah. Contoh macam Sabah punya election. Okay. So election can be done after the legislative is dissolved by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong for federal and sultan or state governors for state through the prime minister or Menteri Besar punya advice lah. So before berlakunya general election, the parliament which is the legislative body haruslah dibubarkan oleh YDPA. Okay, itu untuk peringkat pilihan raya umum lah. So parlimen haruslah pertamanya dibubarkan oleh Yang di-Pertuan Agong, barulah kita boleh adakan general election lah. Okay, it need to be held within 60 days for Peninsular Malaysia, okay, and 90 days for Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, so election commission. Our election commission adalah Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya. Okay, so the Federal Constitution creates the institution of the SPR, which is tasked to carry out election to the Dewan Rakyat as well as the legislative assemblies of the various states throughout the federation. The second task of SPR is to prepare and review the electoral roll for the election. The third role is to come up with proposal relating to the delimitation exercise. Okay, so what is delimitation? Delimitation ni adalah persempadanan. Okay, persempadanan dun di mana kerajaan negeri ataupun kerajaan persekutuan dia boleh request untuk buat persempadanan kawasan so that lebih banyak pecahan kawasan dun atau mukim dalam sesebuah negeri lah. So selalunya kerajaan negeri akan request untuk persempadanan kawasan so that mereka akan dapat kelebihan dari segi undi majoriti as dia akan tumpukan kawasan yang baru yang mana diorang nampak ada possibility untuk diorang menang. Okay, so bila adanya dun-dun baru akibat daripada persempadanan semula ni, dia akan sedikit sebanyak akan membantu dalam menambah bilangan kerusi lah dekat Dewan Negeri ataupun Dewan Negara lah. Okay, as I told you previously, okay, delimitation or delineation is the act or process of fixing limits or boundaries of territorial constituency in a country or a province having a legislative body. Delineation is one of the responsibilities mandate upon the SPR. The SPR is tasked to come up with proposal relating to the delimitation exercise. From time to time, The Commission shall, from time to time, as it deems necessary, review the division of the Federation and the states into constituencies and recommend such changes therein as they may think necessary. Okay, saya bagi contoh the reason. Okay, contohnya okay, macam saya duduk kat Tampin. Okay, dalam Parlimen Tampin, kita ada Dun Gemencih, Dun Repah, Dun Gemas. Okay, so kerajaan negeri, contohnya dia jumpa ada satu kawasan besar yang ramai supporter dari diorang punya parti. Okay, so untuk dapatkan tambahan kerusi ataupun dapatkan support untuk diorang kekal as kerajaan negeri, diorang akan minta SPR untuk buat persempadanan baru lah, so that dari dun-dun yang saya cakap tadi, dia akan tambah lagi satu dun. Okay? Bila tambah lagi satu dun, tambahlah kerusi dekat Dewan Negeri. Okay? Bila dun yang ditambah tu menang, jadi diorang bolehlah kekalkan majoriti dalam kerajaan negeri. Okay? So we have 4 principle of delimitation. Okay, the 13th schedule of the Federal Constitution lists down the principle that must be taken into account in this process. Okay, the first one is constituencies ought to be delimited so that they do not cross state boundaries, and regard ought to be had to the inconvenience of state constituencies crossing the boundaries of Federal Constitution. Okay, so persempadanan ni, okay, delimitation ni, dia nak ensure that sesebuah kawasan itu tidak akan cross border. Okay, dia tak akan cross border, which is dia akan masuk dalam negeri lain lah. Contohnya dekat Negeri Sembilan kan, Gemas. Okay, Gemas ni dia ada part yang Gemas Negeri Sembilan, and ada Gemas yang part Johor. So kat situlah fungsi SPR untuk tentukan sampai sempadan mana milik kerajaan masing-masing. Okay. Number 2, the second principle is the administrative facilities available within the constituencies for the establishment of the necessary registration and polling machine. Okay, so kalau kawasan tu tak ada facilities untuk dia adakan tempat buang undi, pusat mengundi, dia akan try sempadankan kawasan mana yang sesuai, so that dia akan masukkan sekali ataupun digabungkan lah. Contohnya ada kawasan dun yang besar. Okay, dun tu besar tapi penduduk tak ramai, jadi dia akan wujudkan cuma satu je lah pusat mengundi yang akan cover kawasan tersebut. Okay, the third principle is the number of electors within each constituency in the state ought to be approximately equal. However, regard must also be given to the advantages that rural constituencies face, so a measure of weightage for area ought to be given to these rural constituencies. Okay, so numbers of voters dalam sesebuah kawasan dengan kawasan yang lain ni dia sepatutnya equal. Okay, sesebuah kawasan dengan kawasan yang lain, okay, sepatutnya equal ataupun approximately same lah. So that there will be no bias. Okay, so that's why saya sebut tadi, walaupun ada dun yang besar tapi bilangan penduduk dia sikit. Okay, jadi di situlah SPR akan measure dari mana ke mana kawasan undi, so that walaupun dari segi saiz kawasan tu berbeza, tapi dia punya bilangan, the population ataupun the kepadatan penduduk dia lah sama, so that there will be no bias lah. The fourth principle of delimitation adalah the principle of maintenance of local ties, which is the one to memelihara hubungan tempatan lah. Okay, bayangkan kalau satu kawasan besar tu tiba-tiba terbahagi kepada dua dun, okay, dapat pula dun-dun tu punya political influence tak sama, confirm akan jadi perbalahan, terutamanya masa PRU lah kan. So SPR punya tugas, okay, untuk bahagikan kawasan dengan sebaik mungkin dalam menjaga keharmonian kehidupan bermasyarakat dalam suatu kawasan. Okay. The electoral review for the delimitation of the federation and the status constituencies can be initiated based on the following circumstances. The first one is it must not less than 8 years from the date of completion of the previous review, or there are amendments to the law that are amended by the federal constitution or the state law, whether to increase or decrease the number of council seats or the creation of new territories, such as the formation of the federal territories of Kuala Lumpur, Labuan, and Putrajaya. Okay. So we have 9 procedures of delimitation of constituencies. Okay, the first procedure. Okay, after the review is conducted and the proposal drafted, the commission must issue. Okay, the commission must issue a notice in the government gazette and local newspaper on the proposals and display the proposal at public places to be viewed by the public. Okay, second one is within 1 month from the date of the notice, any party that wish to object to the proposal may submit it to the commission. So if there are objection from any state government, local government, or any group of 100 registered voters in any constituencies who are affected by the proposal, then the commission must conduct a local inquiry for those constituencies. The third one, in the local inquiry, representation may be made by the objectors as to why the objection are lodged. The commission may either accept the representation made at the inquiries or reject them. If the commission make changes to the proposal, a fresh notice must be issued. After that, a report will be prepared and given to the Prime Minister showing the details of the proposal. Then the Prime Minister will then table the report to the Dewan Rakyat along with a draft order on the proposal. Okay. If the proposal are rejected by the Dewan Rakyat or withdrawn with leave of the Dewan, the Prime Minister, after consulting with the Commission, may amend the draft and table the proposal to the Dewan Rakyat again. If the majority of the members of the Dewan Rakyat approve the draft, it will then be presented to the YDPA, who will then make the order in the terms of the draft order. And the last one is the order will then come into force at a date specified. So these are the procedures needed untuk membuat persempadan semula lah. Okay. So the future of the Malaysian political culture and landscape. Okay. So voting behavior. Okay. So there are 4 reasons that influence the voting behavior, which are party identification, candidate general assessment and issue lah. Okay. So what is voting behavior? Okay. So basically voting behavior is it refers to how people vote in an election. Okay, so how people make their choice of a candidate or party, or how they decide who to vote for. So voting behavior ni adalah macam mana seorang pengundi itu decide macam mana which party yang dia nak undi ataupun which person yang dia nak undi. Okay, in other words, what factor do they consider as important before they cast their ballot? Okay, put simply, it means how for choosing a candidate or party in a general election. A voter may choose a candidate on the basis of one or more of the following consideration, which is the first one is party identification. Okay. So party identification is also known as a party affiliation, partisanship, or party loyalty. So some voters will identify which one of the major parties and the party ties or loyalty influence to votes. The major influence on party affiliation or party attachment comes from the family, teachers and peers. For example, if the parents are loyal to UMNO, there will be high tendency that the son will be the supporters of UMNO also. Okay, so in simpler words, we can say that if they are putting their ballot, okay, they go for voting, okay, by identifying the party is, ini kiranya dia hidup mati dia pun dia akan sokong parti yang dia pilih. Dia tak kisah siapa calon yang bertanding, asalkan dari parti tersebut, dia akan undi. Contohnya, kalau dia loyal to UMNO, okay, in any general election, if the candidate from UMNO, then they will definitely choose lah. Okay, dia tak ada nak kisah orang tu macam mana ke, asalkan dari UMNO, dia akan undi lah. Okay, the second one is candidate. Okay, voters also judge candidates by their personal characteristic. They are likely to vote for candidates they perceive as capable of being effective leaders. The personal characteristic or traits or qualities includes the personal life, character, personal appeal, appearances, competency, leadership, ability, experience, knowledge, honesty, integrity, morality, trustworthiness, and empathy. Okay, for candidate ni, usually they possessed by the person yang bipartisan lah. Okay, macam tadi, the first one ini adalah partisanship, dia based on party. Okay, candidate ni dia bipartisan. Okay, dia tak stick to party. Dia tak kisah any party yang bertanding pun, apa pun parti yang bertanding, asalkan the candidate berwibawa, so itulah yang dia akan undi. So this behaviour, dia akan compare which candidate yang better lah, based on the performance, qualifications, and credibility. The third one is general assessment. So the voters rely on general evaluation of the government or the party in power, such as the performance, manifesto, campaign, etc. Retrospective, which is past evaluation of government performance, is an important, more immediate or short-term determinant of voting behaviour. How well the government has done, how well its predetermined objectives have been achieved, what the government should do or should not do, has the national economy and national security improved? These are the questions that the voters will evaluate before they make a decision or before they going to the polls. Okay, so basically, general assessment, dia akan nilai the whole coalition. Okay, dia akan nilai whole coalition. Dia bukan based on party, dia coalition, sama ada yang contoh macam BN, pakatan, macam tu lah. Okay, contohnya last PRU, orang akan assess tau, either dia nak stick to undi BN ataupun dia nak undi Pakatan Harapan ke, dia kena pilih lah antara dua. So these are basically influenced by the performance of the party or coalition. So based on manifesto yang dijanjikan, selain daripada itu, dia akan judge, macam saya cakap tadi, dia akan judge the performance, manifesto, economic condition dan sebagainya lah. Okay. The fourth one is issues. Okay, many voters say they vote only on policy issues, which is short-term consideration, which means that they choose based on the stand on question of great importance to them. So these issues include the economic performance, welfare benefits, election manifesto, the importance toward the gender, race, religion, age, or social class. Okay, so voters, okay, pengundi akan assess which coalition yang akan give benefit to them. Okay, sebagai contoh, one of the faktor kemenangan Pakatan during previous elections, selain daripada isu Najib, adalah manifesto yang menarik minat pengundi lah. So manifesto yang menarik. Okay, contohnya macam the issue of toll, PTPTN, cukai, GST, SST, gaji minimum, bantuan dan sebagainya akan menarik minat pengundi untuk memilih the coalition as the ruling government. So isu pengurusan banjir, okay, yang sekarang ni, isu pengurusan banjir, kes COVID dan sebagainya sekarang ni confirm akan give effect, okay, akan affect the people preferences dalam next PRU lah. So Muhyiddin and team, you better prepare lah. Okay. We have six types of Malaysian political culture. The first one is feudal. Feudal is the attitude of loyalty and subconscious compliance to the upper class is said to have been in the Malaysian political culture since long ago. Okay, so feudal adalah satu behavior ataupun pegangan di mana orang-orang akan memberikan taat setia kepada golongan atasan yang sedikit sebanyak memberikan kesan dalam sistem bermasyarakat. Okay, contohnya orang-orang kita taat beraja sebab taat kepada sistem beraja adalah memang tradisi dari zaman dahulu lah. So dia akan taat kepada what we call bangsawan ataupun group of people yang memberi bantuan untuk mereka. So kalau perasan kan kat kampung-kampung, okay, kawasan luar bandar ataupun bandar sekalipun, kalau ada orang besar YB turun, dia punya preparation atau sambutan tu memang bersungguh. Kira macam orang besar nak datang, so kita kena prepare, macam tu lah. Okay, second one is parochial. Okay, parochial, the people have no understanding of the national political system, do not possess any tendency to participate in the input process and have no consciousness of the output process. Kiranya dia have limited awareness lah. So ini jenis orang yang tak nak ambil part langsung pasal politik. Kira dia buat hal dia je lah and dia tak aware terhadap isu politics. Okay, the third one is conservative. These people tend to preserve a tradition or hereditary practice. A conservative mind likes to make a practice unchanged and resist to change. So they oppose reformation. So conservative people ni dia malas nak ubah. Kalau bahasa kasarnya, lebih baik berada dengan syaitan yang dikenali daripada berada dengan syaitan yang baru lah. So this basically quote from my lecture lah. Okay, the fourth one is submissive. It is inclined or ready to submit, unresistingly or humbly obedient to the authorities that may exert a dominance of their conscience designed strictly for the gain. Okay, submissive ni dia jenis macam alah, dah kerajaan cakap macam ni, kita ikut je lah. Dia jenis orang yang hidup redha je, dia follow the flow. Dia macam menyerah. Sebab apa? Dia pun macam tak pastilah. Okay, kalau dia undi macam ni kan, macam ni pula, undi orang ni jadi macam ni pula. So dia macam, dia tak pasti. Okay, dia menyerah saja. Next is passive. Okay, tend to be a political subject rather than active, participatory in political affairs of the country. Okay, so dia ni jenis malas nak komen apa-apa. Dia lebih kurang macam parochial, cuma bezanya passive ni dia aware. Tadi parochial ni dia tak aware. Yang ni passive ni dia aware, cumanya dia tak ambil kisah apa nak jadi lantak lah macam tu. Okay, fourth one is undivided loyalty. Undivided loyalty ni orang dia obedient, indifferent, discouraged to questioning, afraid for opposition or criticism, and just follow the wish of the communion. It is implicit in the context of relationship between the leader subordinates. Okay, undivided loyalty ni kita panggil sebagai penyokong tegar. penyokong tegar. Kalau dari dulu dia dah sokong satu parti tu, sampai matilah dia sokong parti tu je. Datanglah apa pun isu ke apa ke, dia tetap stay. Dia tetap taat lah dengan dia punya parti tu. Okay. Okay. So yang ni simple, you can simply baca lah. Okay, special provision in federal constitution, we have declaration of nation as federation, the uphold supremacy of constitution, practice parliamentary democracy, and so on lah. So I think that's all for today. Thank you.